Hello and welcome to my Justice League Dark Apokolips War spoiler review. So as you can tell by now, this video is going to be full of spoilers for the movie. So if you have not yet seen the movie yet, then you should definitely go check it out. I definitely recommend this movie. It's great. But you can go check out my non-spoiler review in the meantime so you can find out my thoughts on it. And then that video will tell you exactly why you should watch this, because it's fantastic. So, yeah, the link to that will be down in the description if you want to check out my non-spoiler review. But, now you've been warned, so hopefully if you're still watching this, you've seen the movie, and then we can talk about this movie. And please remember that you can continue the discussion down in the comments. I always reply to comments, so we can continue the discussion down there even after the video. But, yeah, let's jump into this with my first overall thoughts of this movie. It's great. I mean, this is a fantastic movie. I have to say that, honestly, in my opinion, this is not only the best animated DC movie, not only the best animated superhero movie, but I think, honestly, the best animated movie of all time, in my opinion, of course. I just love everything about this, especially because it brings an end to this universe of DC animated movies, and it ties it up so nicely, and it has so many references to past movies, and it just works. I mean, pretty much everything in this movie, it just works. So this movie is rated R, and I think it definitely works for this film. Throughout this universe of DC animated movies, some have been rated R, some of them have been PG-13, but I think this movie really used the R rating to its advantage, because there's a lot of violence in this. I mean, like it's hardcore violence. Like, you're seeing, like there was one scene when it showed all the dead Teen Titans. Like, Starfire was just laying out there, and, like, she was split in half. Her guts were all over the place. You saw Aquaman get split in half. Like, there was some crazy violence and gore and blood and guts all over the place in this movie. But I loved it. Because, I mean, like, with Marvel, this would be something weird to be seeing with those characters. But with DC, it works so well with these characters, especially in animated form, because you can do so much more with that. So I really love the way that they did that. Now, as for the actual story, we know that it started off by showing that the Justice League was going to take the fight to Darkseid so that they could try and prevent this war that was coming. But, of course, that didn't really work out for them, because we found out through flashbacks how this actually went, because it was pretty much like it showed them getting on their ship, and then they were flying towards Apocalypse, and then the Paradooms showed up. And then it flashed to the post-apocalyptic world, and then we started getting flashbacks throughout conversations and stuff, and that was when we saw, like, how half the Justice League was ripped in half, how some of them are now under the control of Darkseid and stuff like that. So I think I would have preferred it to just happen in the beginning, like when it was showing them going to Apocalypse. I kind of wish they would have just showed us that whole part there instead of doing it later in, like, short flashbacks. So I think that probably would have worked better there, but I'm fine with what I got. Now, speaking of that post-apocalyptic world, it was really cool to see, because it's really interesting to see how these characters react, because even though they're superheroes, I mean, half the people in the world have died, they've lost their friends, they've lost their family, and it's really interesting, and I always love stories like this when you see superheroes go through an experience like this, and then you get to see how they react to a situation like this, where they have, like, basically nothing left, and they have to figure out what to do, and, like, they're still trying to come up with a plan to fix everything, but they don't really know if it's going to work, like, at all. So I really love that, and, yeah, so let's jump into the characters here. I'm going to go over all the characters in this movie. Well, of course, not like every single specific character, but, you know, the main ones, basically. And, of course, I'm going to start off with the main character of the movie, John Constantine himself. So, I love Constantine. He's great. I love seeing him in this movie. Matt Ryan does a great job of voicing him. I love seeing him play Constantine on Legends of Tomorrow and stuff, too. So it's great seeing him voice him here as well. So he's always going to be the definitive Constantine for me, whether it's in live action or animation. So I love him in the role. And this character goes through some, well, let's just say he goes on a journey in this movie. Because we find out that at the beginning, he has joined the Justice League alongside Zatanna. So he and Zatanna are together, they're still in love, and they've joined the Justice League together. But then through the flashbacks, when we see the fight on Apokolips, we see that when Zatanna was getting murdered by the Paradooms, Constantine just ran away. And I really didn't like that part. I really hated that, because that is not at all what Constantine would do. Because, first of all, he never runs away from anything. It's usually the complete opposite. He usually runs into danger instead of runs away from it. And then also, I mean, if Zatanna was getting murdered right there, you'd think he would have done something other than just run away. But that's why I'm glad that they explained it later. And if they didn't explain it, then I would have been really mad at this, and I probably wouldn't have liked this movie as much. But because they did explain it, it made it really good and made it worth it, because throughout this whole movie, you're thinking that he just ran away because he was scared or he didn't want to fight or something. But like, it really convinced you, and then in the end, you found out that she just put a spell on him to make him run away, because Batman came up with this backup plan in case things didn't end up working out in the first place. So I really like that whole explanation there. I like that all that happened. So Constantine really went through some stuff in this movie, and he's definitely a changed man now. Now on to the, like, I guess secondary main character, which is of course Superman. So Superman also went through a lot in this movie, like a lot. I mean, from everything to leading his team into danger and getting all of them killed, to getting possessed by Trigon, to having his wife die. I mean, he went through a lot in this, and the reason he was so adamant on bringing everyone back, or like trying to find a way to stop Darkseid and come up with a plan, is because he felt like it was all his fault. And I mean, it kind of was. So I mean, it's good that he was trying to find a way to undo it all, but you can't really undo it all. So he went with him and Lois. I like the relationship they had in this, and then I like that she was the reason that he came out of the Trigon thing, because when he got possessed by Trigon, he was Trigon, and like it was like there was no more Superman, no more Clark Kent in there. But then when he saw that Lois died, then he obviously came out of it, and then he was once again Superman. So yeah, that was really cool. Now on to Raven. So Raven, I haven't really particularly cared for her in these movies. I mean, we've only seen her in 2 movies until now. This is our 3rd movie in this universe. But I really liked her here. She was really good, and especially the relationship between her and Damian. And throughout this movie, her struggle with her father being in that crystal on her forehead, and how he kept trying to escape, but she wouldn't let him. And then finally in the end, when she did let him, basically, or kind of had to. And I also like how by the end of the movie, when she had the white outfit, and it was kind of like she became pure. So that looked really cool. I really liked her suit there. I always liked that storyline with her. Like, I've never really been big on the character, but always in like Teen Titans cartoons or movies or something, when I see her wearing that outfit, or like when she goes through the storyline where she changes to that white outfit, I always liked that storyline, and I think they did it in a really unique but interesting way here. But speaking of Raven and Damian Wayne, let's talk about Damian Wayne. So after the Conquest, which is what Superman called it, so I guess I'm going to call it that. So the Conquest is what we're calling the death of half the universe, I guess, that Darkseid's been doing. But after that, when Damian lost basically his family, not only his real family with his father and Batman, but his Teen Titans family, he ran away, and then he went to lead the League of Assassins. And I really like this because, he went on to lead the League of Assassins and take over for his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul. So before that, his mother was the leader of the League of Assassins because, of course, Ra's al Ghul died in the first movie, and then she took over, and then I'm guessing Lady Shiva was in charge of it until Damian showed up and was like, I'm taking over now. And it was really interesting seeing a grown-up version of Damian Wayne in this, and I think it worked really well, especially with the voice, because I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but the guy that voices Damian in this, like, you can tell, like, from the past couple movies, between this movie and I think it was Batman Hush, we saw him in a cameo, that his voice is changing. So the past couple movies, I felt weird about his voice in that character because he was still young, but now that he's like 5 years older or something, it makes more sense that his voice has changed, or is in the process of changing. So I like that. And then also a little thing here that I like to note that I really liked, that when we first saw him over there with the League of Assassins, is that he had Titus with him, or Ace. I don't know which one it was, but he had basically Bat Dog with him. So that was really cool. Because, I mean, if you think about it, like, if Batman had Bat Dog and then Batman all of a sudden was living on Apokolips for years, I mean, Bat Dog would have to go with somebody. So it was cool seeing Bat Dog here, even though it was like one scene when he was in the background. Now, Batman. Batman had a really interesting journey here. Once again, tied in with Damian Wayne. We basically got the conclusion to that storyline that's been going on for basically the whole time of this universe of animation movies. Because that was one of the first movies, was like son of Batman, and then that relationship has been growing throughout all of these movies, and it was nice to see that come to an end here when Damian literally sacrificed himself and jumped in front of Batman to save his father's life, and then he died, but then he still came back to life because of Raven. But that was really interesting. And then Batman, how he was in the Mobius chair, and he was like Darkseid's right-hand man. I really loved that, so that was really cool. I think that was a great use for Batman. And then he was also working with Lex Luthor, who, I mean, honestly, it was so obvious that he was the mole. I mean, even before he was revealed as the mole, he was just so... You could just tell. I mean, he didn't seem like he wanted to work with Darkseid. Now, a big part of this movie is the crossover. So we had the Justice League teaming up with a bunch of other teams, including the Suicide Squad. And I really love the Suicide Squad here. And the version of the team that we saw in this movie, it really makes me want to see another animated Suicide Squad movie. Or, honestly, I wish we would have seen another one within this continuity, because this team that they have in this movie was so good, because you got Harley Quinn as the leader now because Deadshot left the team. I presume he's dead now anyway. And then Amanda Waller died from cancer, so that's cool. So Harley Quinn is leading the team, and then the team consists of King Shark, which was awesome. His design is awesome. I don't really care for the fact that all he said was King Shark is a shark. Like is basically Groot, but as a shark. But then also the team had, of course, Captain Boomerang. We had Bane, Cheetah, Black Manta. So that was really cool. And then we also got some slight cameos there in the Suicide Squad part, where we did see Victor Zsasz, Giganta, and Toymaster, which is basically Toyman. We did see them in the background there when the Suicide Squad was first recruited, so that was really cool seeing those characters just in the background there. Now on to the Teen Titans. Same goes for them. I wish we would have seen another movie in this continuity, because they've got so many new members. They've still got the same members that they had before, but now they have Kid Flash, they got Speedy, they got Superboy's on the team now, Wonder Girl, and a bunch of others, and then it's like they all just died in this movie. So, I mean, that was sad. It was cool to see them for like a couple seconds, but they did now. So that was sad. But hopefully we get more animated Teen Titans movies in the future, even if they're not in this continuity. Now we have the Justice League Dark, which is the name of the movie, even though it was more of just a regular Justice League movie. But I'm gonna let it slide. It doesn't bother me that much. But from the actual Justice League Dark team, I mean, since this movie is called Justice League Dark Apokolips War, you would have thought that they would have at least had more Justice League Dark members in this. Like, they had Constantine, they had Etrigan, they had Zatanna, and then they had that purple girl from the first movie. I don't remember her name. I don't remember if it was like Orchid or Violet or something. But it would have been cool if we had like Deadman in here, or I don't know. They had Swamp Thing for a brief moment. But speaking of the Justice League Dark members with Etrigan, he was one of the ones that survived the whole battle. And at first I didn't like that he wasn't rhyming, because that's one of my favorite parts about the character. But I mean, when Constantine said that he hasn't even been rhyming since this whole thing happened, I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense, because this was a traumatic event that he went through. I mean, it's not like the rhyming was just an automatic thing. He has to feel up to it, and he just doesn't feel up to doing anything other than drinking beer and burning people with his fire breath. So, yeah. Also, he made the nice sacrifice when Wonder Woman killed him. So that was cool, interesting. But then we have the main villain of the movie, Darkseid, and I love how he was portrayed here. He was very Darkside-ish, I guess you could say. Like, he was very similar to Thanos, I guess. Like, he always had other people doing his bidding. And he actually didn't get too much action until the end with Trigon. But I was fine with that, because we still got to see him use his Omega Beams, which is probably the coolest thing about him. And because it's like his Omega Beams, it's not like they're just a straight laser, they like zigzag, and I just love that. The voice was good, everything about him was pretty good. So yeah, not really any complaints about Darkseid. But then we have the Apocalypse Furies. So those were the Justice League members that were brought back to life as like cyborg henchmen people for Darkseid, and this was really interesting. I honestly didn't really like this, because I mean, Wonder Woman for the rest of the movie was a cyborg, and she wasn't as cool. But as for the rest of them, I mean, we got like Martian Manhunter, Mira, Hawkman. When it comes to Mira, I mean, I don't know why they would do Mira and not like Aquaman, because, I mean, they literally had a whole movie dedicated to Aquaman joining the Justice League, but then he's in this movie for like 2 seconds. So I wish they would have had more Aquaman in this. But speaking of more Aquaman, the original Justice League. We didn't really get much of the original Justice League, and when I say original Justice League, I'm talking about specifically from like Justice League War and Justice League Throne of Atlantis. So like Green Lantern, like Hal Jordan Green Lantern, he didn't have any lines in the movie. It would have been nice if maybe he was one of the surviving members that maybe at least got to work for Darkseid, because I mean, Nathan Fillion was great in that voice role, but we didn't hear him at all in this. Shazam, he was good in this. I like how when his leg got ripped off, when he came back later, he had like a lightning leg. That was really cool, and he had like the scratches on his face and everything. And I like how the last word he said before he died was Shazam. Although I did notice that it was some other random voice actor that said that one word, Shazam, and it wasn't Sean Astin, because Sean Astin voiced him in every other movie, so it would have been nice if he came in to just say that one word. I mean, it's one freaking word, just get him to say one word. But that didn't happen. And then, like I said before, with Aquaman, I mean, he didn't do anything either. Like, literally, his wife, that never does anything in these movies, or, like, anything DC, did more than Aquaman. So, yeah. But speaking of Hal Jordan Green Lantern, we did see Darkseid visit Oa and destroy the Green Lanterns. I mean, all of them. We saw Kilowog, we saw Guy Gardner, we saw Jon Stewart. And I really like Jon Stewart here. He was the one that we saw the most, and You know, I thought they were doing something with him because he started crawling away. He started doing the Green Lantern speech, and then at the end he was like, "Green Lantern's light," and then he was about to do something with the big Green Lantern power core thing there that was in the city or whatever. But then that's when Darkseid sent the lava over there and he burned. So I thought that he was gonna like do something that would like save the day or something, or like start a process of saving the day. But no, he just got dead. And then also I thought that maybe his ring would have like gone out to one of the heroes, or at least like flown away, because usually when a Green Lantern dies, their ring goes off to the next Green Lantern to pass on the torch. But it just sat there on the ground. I mean, I think it would have been really cool if it flew away, and then even actually went to one of our heroes. Like maybe Damian Wayne got the Green Lantern ring, or like Constantine or Superman or some other character like that got the Green Lantern ring. Even Raven, that would have been cool to see some other character with the Green Lantern powers. Now, the last character I'm going to talk about here is Trigon. One of my favorite parts of the movie, when I found out that he was going to be in this movie, before I even saw it, I knew the one thing I wanted to see the most out of this movie was Trigon versus Darkseid. And I got it. We actually got two versions of it, because we got Trigon possessing Superman's body and then taking on Darkseid, and that was great. I loved that. And then in the end, when Trigon versus Darkseid happened, and it was like, I didn't think Trigon was really that powerful, because like when you think about it, you're always like, alright, Darkseid's like the most powerful DC villain, but then when you think about it, like Trigon's actually more powerful. He just doesn't get enough credit for that. So I really love seeing him return in this movie after his debut in Justice League vs. Teen Titans, and I really love the role that he played in this movie. Now that we're done with the characters, we're going to talk about the ending of the movie. That's right, Flashpoint. I really love this. I love the way that it ended. It really came full circle, because this DC animated movie universe, it started with Flashpoint, and now it ends with Flashpoint. So I really love the way that they did that. I love how at first Barry was hesitant about it too. Like when Constantine said, like, you have to go do this, I like how Barry wasn't automatically just like, alright, I'll go do it. He was like, no, I promised Iris before she... No, I can't do it. But he did it anyway. And I like how there wasn't even, like, anything showing us, like, what this new reset world looked like. Because they were like, you know, things will change. More mistakes will be made. They'll probably make the same mistakes, but at least it'll be better than what they have now. And like I said, as soon as Barry ran off and then he did the Flashpoint thing and just saw him running off, similar to how we saw him do it in Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox, it just showed the remaining heroes left shattered in pieces, half cyborgs and everything, just standing there waiting for it to happen, and then you just saw the bright white light coming towards them, the wave of light coming towards them, and then the whole screen just flashed white, and that was the end of the movie. That was the perfect ending. I mean, if they showed us like this new reset world and showed us like the regular DC animated universe, like how it was before Darkseid came, I think that would have been a bad idea, because then it would have showed us like, oh, that they're all good now. But now, like, we don't know. And that's the cool thing about it, because now you can think of it how you want to, because we know that the universe was reset. But now it's really up to your own opinion. You can think about it however you want it to be. You can think about it as if, like, everybody came back to life and everything's all good. You can think about it as everything went back to normal, but, like, something's still wrong. Maybe somebody's still dead or something. So it's really up to you how you want to perceive what comes next. And this is the end of the DC animated movie universe continuity as we know it. And it is getting rebooted. I don't know if the next version is going to be standalone films or another connected universe like this. But the next movie is Superman Man of Tomorrow, coming out this summer. I think I'm probably going to do a sneak peek breakdown, because we did get a sneak peek on the Blu-ray for Justice League Dark Apokolips War. So I may do a breakdown of that to show you what we know about that film so far, and yeah, so stay tuned for that. But Anyways, guys, please let me know all your thoughts on this movie down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite part? I have to say my favorite part was definitely the Trigon versus Darkseid fight. Although it's hard to decide. I mean, Superman Trigon versus Darkseid or regular Trigon versus Darkseid. I mean, I think I gotta go with Superman Trigon because, I mean, he had the flame cape and everything, so that's definitely my favorite part. But like I said, let me know your favorite part down in the comments below. And also, like I mentioned earlier, we can continue this discussion about this amazing movie down in the comments. So yeah. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and hit the subscribe button so that I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.